Like
Yeah.
I had a dream. I wanted to, I felt that unless young people were able to translate, their skill set and their education into tangible economic opportunities,
Yeah.
then certification is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
A piece of paper must translate. And I said, I also believed very much that you cannot transform people unless they move beyond the politics of bread and butter.
Yeah.
So if I am giving you food, you're never going to be free. If
Yeah.
I can end. So I felt that the only way to get young people to become and to participate in leadership, participate in being active citizenship, is to first enable economic transport and economic transformation. And so any opportunity that enabled young people to transition from education skills opportunities
Yep.
into economic empowerment
Yeah.
was important. And so when you said to me, that ICT was the way to go, I said, why not?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And I'm a doer,
I
I
know.
don't believe in talking.
You don't waste
it's,
time.
it's one thing to talk, it's another
Yeah.
to bring your. So one of my rare skills is that I'm able to take something from being an idea, being a dream, to bring it to life.
Yeah.
My interest is to ensure that in my lifetime, in my generation, that children and young people have the ability to be the best they can and that they emerge as people who are going to take us to where we want to be as a country and as a continent.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and welcome to ThinkPod, where we talk about everything education, technology, and business. My name is Tebogo, and I'm your host. Today, I am joined by a dear friend of mine who is a trailblazer in the social impact space. I call her the good doctor, and you'll find out why, right? She is the person that actually did massive impact for some of the stuff that we've done as Think Tank, and we'll unpack that a little bit about what that means and what happened. So please, without any further ado, help me welcome the good doctor, Dr. Onyi.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming through. It's been a while since I saw you.
Yeah, it's been a couple of I would
I
say
think
months, but not too far.
Not too bad. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And then I just wanted to spend this time with you to get to know about the stuff that you currently are busy with now. And then to share with the audience, of course, what is the work that you're doing, why you're doing and stuff. But before we get into that, just want to know a little bit about who's Dr. Onyi.
Dr. Onyi is just a dreamer, a young lady. I would say, I'm heading to my 40s now, so not so young. But a young lady that has big dreams for the country, South Africa and Africa, particularly the African continent, that believes that we have so much potential, we have so much resources, we have a youthful population, and we haven't harnessed or leveraged all of this, what I would call upsides for the continent. My dream is to help children, young people, families, people to realize their potential, to help us build a continent that we are all proud of, and to hopefully raise the bar when it comes to leadership and good decision making that will enable our continent to reap the fruits that we deserve as a continent, and to take our place in what I would call the community of nations. I believe very strongly, I have a big dream that this is a continent that can compete on every level, and yet this continent is still very much dependent on other people to get to where it needs to be, dependent on aid, dependent on the goodwill of others. And so my dream, hopefully, that it will happen in my generation, that we have a change, we have people who believe and who are empowered enough to do what it takes to get us where we need to be.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think with the dream that you have, the amount of impact that you've done so far in the the walks and the stuff that we've done together, absolutely incredible. If I can tell you the amount of lives that I've changed because of you, oof, I can't even begin to say. All right. So I think the name Onyi, does it mean
Yeah.
God's gift?
Yes, it
So
does
coincidentally.
mean. Yes.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes. My name means God. It's actually, full name is Onyi Nwaneri. Onyi Nwaneri means God's gift. So I
Wow,
consider myself
powerful.
God's gift to mankind.
Yeah.
And that's why my heart, my passion is
Yeah.
to help people become.
Yeah. And then how did you get into the space of doing social impact work? Where did that start from?
It's a long story. When I qualified as a lawyer, I got inducted into what we'd call an organization or a project that looked to help people access justice. We felt whenever you, as a lawyer, you go into a courtroom, you find people who don't have any type of representation, and without effective representation, the quality of justice you get is not great. Either justice is so denied that it is so delayed that it's denied, or because you are unable to defend yourself effectively, sometimes you don't even get justice at all. And we had a lot of people who didn't have access to represent. So we organized ourselves as lawyers to try and provide free legal representation to people who didn't have one, especially in criminal offenses. And once you get bitten by the bug,
Then you're like,
I was able to help people who were accused, or there was allegations of crime that they told me that they didn't commit, and that the only reason why they are in the criminal justice system was because they were poor. And I was able to help them to be released, because in the legal system, he who asserts must prove, and for you to prove in the legal system, especially in the criminal system, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Yes, correct.
And by the time we get into court, most of the time the prosecution did not have their ducks in a row, could not prove the case. And I was able to help a lot of young people in particular. And I remember those early days in my life, released, but their cases were dismissed. And I must say to you that as a result, many of them, their parents thought they had died. They had not been home in years. There are people who have been in criminal justice system for between 6 months to 10 years. And when I got them released, it was like giving them another lease of life. It was giving them an opportunity to become again. It was some of them came with their families to come and say thank you for, their son was lost and now is found. Some of them came to say, you've given us an opportunity to live again. And I realized that I didn't just want to be a lawyer that made money for myself, that helped others or corporations to make money. I wanted to have more of that feeling.
Yes.
The feeling like you have helped somebody in a way that they can never pay you enough to get it back.
Yeah.
And that was what led me to look at a master's degree in human rights and democratization. And interestingly, my journey changed. I realized that I wanted to more of that, and not just corporate, commercial, pure legal. And today, my entire career trajectory changed.
Completely. I mean, I wouldn't have known that you used to sit in front of the courtroom and you would present cases and you defend.
Where did you think I got my persuasiveness from?
Oh, you are wild. In the boardroom, I was wondering, in the boardroom, you're wild. You're like, let's do this. And things are getting done. So that's the background.
Yeah, because I believe it. I believe it, Teboko.
With passion.
Whatever I do it with all my heart. I do it from a place of inner conviction. And when I believe it and I'm persuaded by it, I am able to convince others that this is something that we need to do. And so I always say to people that I've worked with or worked for that my involvement in the social impact space, I don't see it as a calling. I don't see it as a job. I see it as, this is my purpose in life. My purpose in life, if you want to use the Bible, is to set captives free, is to create liberation for people. I see myself as born to create worlds that people never imagined that they were capable of, and to give people platforms that they wouldn't have ever achieved on their own. And I think being able to help people in my early legal years to find freedom, to find liberation, to find an opportunity to live again, to find their sons and their daughters that were missing, made me feel like, if I could do it in this platform, if I could do it at scale and I can raise leaders in South Africa and Africa, then my job is done.
Absolutely. Absolutely love it. And I think you are actually leaving your name on a daily basis. You are a true gift of the people.
I think I always give glory to God for it, because I think I always, again, I have to say I'm a Christian and unapologetically so, that whatever I do it unto God, and my name is God's gift. And that really means that I have to leverage, God's talent and blessings on my life in order to hopefully bless others.
Yeah. And does the surname also relate to something similar? What does the surname mean?
The surname means, very interesting, it's my husband's name.
Yeah.
It means Nwaneri. Nwaneri means a child that eats.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Okay. So thanks for that. And then, so you went through the legal journey, and then you went past that as well. You started doing social impact work in terms of communities. This is a much wider scale now. So in communities, so how did you get into that particular space?
So I started off first working for an organization that worked. Let me take many steps backwards.
Yeah.
As a lawyer, I got involved in the social impact phase by representing people, providing legal advice, holding social justice campaigns in schools, in institutions of learning, to help people understand that your rights matter. You have rights, and the essence of the legal justice system is to enable you to access your rights and to realize your rights. And then from there, when I had finished my master's in human rights and democratization, I joined an organization that worked with the United Nations, especially on the issue of environmental rights, on the concept of responsible business, that businesses are not just here to take, but to enable environments to grow as the business grows as well.
Yep.
And it was very fascinating to look at things like corporate citizenship, etc. And then from there, I worked with an organization, one of the UN organizations called United Nations Development Program. And there I was asked to understand, why was HIV/AIDS in the then 2000s, early to late 2000s, not as effective? We were in the middle of HIV/AIDS. And I remember at the time, the World Bank, the IMF, the United Nations was investing heavily in HIV/AIDS in the African context. And I was asked to go to 6 African countries and to understand what is wrong. Is it the legal framework? There was this conversation around multi-stakeholder approach to HIV/AIDS. How did you get Department of Health, Department of Social Development, Department of Education, Department of, all of the departments of government working together to fight the scourge of and to prevent as well as manage HIV/AIDS in their different countries. And I remember going to multiple countries from Tanzania, Zanzibar, Zambia, South Africa, to really try and understand what is going on and how can we empower governments to do that better. And after working with UN for a while as a consultant, I think, and completing that project, I felt like I was just writing a piece of paper. I was curious around how did my work translate into
tangible.
Remember, I was already used to seeing lives changed in a very tangible way. And I was looking for an organization that I could bring tangibility. And that's how I found Afrika Tikkun. By the time my husband was moving from Cape Town, we used to live in Cape Town, and we're moving to Johannesburg, and I was looking for an organization where I could be part of transformative change in people's lives. And I found Afrika Tikkun in 2009 and joined Afrika Tikkun in 2009.
You were doing marketing for Afrika Tikkun?
I started out as a fundraiser and fundraiser in Afrika Tikkun the first 1 or 2 years. I quickly grew as the head of fundraising and marketing. And before I knew it, I was the head of strategic partnerships. And then before I knew it, I was the CEO of Afrika Tikkun Services. And then from there, I became the group CEO. Between 2024 in 2025 I became the group CEO. Over 15 years in Afrika Tikkun, I was able to help together with the then group CEO who then stepped down and became the executive chair to concretize what we call the cradle to career model and programs, to restructure it and to grow the model and programs to the point where we were 500 million plus organization. We were investing in children through a deliberate programming
Yeah.
that helped them from the time they were born all the way to helping them get into jobs. We went from almost a plus or minus 50 million organization, like I mentioned, to over 500 million organization
Wow.
in the period. We went from touching a couple of thousands to tens of thousands of young people. We enabled the creation of an alumni program that then supported the emergence of young people and incentivized young people to find jobs for themselves, to create new businesses, and to sustain jobs and to grow in their career.
Yeah.
You know, I was privileged to be part of a group of people that really enabled transformation in an intention. And that's where we met.
Yeah,
We met in
absolutely.
Afrika Tikkun. We launched ICT and
Yeah.
our very first ICT Academy through our partnership. And today, Afrika Tikkun has been over, thanks to you, because without you, that launch of an ICT Academy would have been just a dream.
Yeah.
And I always thank God for you coming into my life to launch that academy. And from couple of hundreds of young people going into the ICT sector to going into thousands of young people going into the ICT sector. And I remember, you know, with some of them gaining jobs in the earning from 50 to 100,000 rands a month.
Amazing.
You know, from earning nothing. And so, yeah, you know, really beautiful career there in Afrika Tikkun.
Absolutely amazing results that we've seen. I mean, with the academy, it was amazing. Do you know how I met you? You don't know? Can I remind you?
I remember it's the ICT Academy. Remind me.
So let me tell you. So I used to do work for Dimension Data. You know, I was doing training for across, the South Africa and other parts of Africa.
Yes.
And I was about to exit. So there was a program that they were promoting. They were celebrating actually the 25th anniversary with Cisco. And then they said employees can pitch an idea of that can actually make some impact in the people's lives. And I pitched it because I'm so passionate about training. I pitched something. It's supposed to be in groups, but Mashadi.
Yes, Mashadi.
Yeah.
From Internet Solutions.
Yes, Mashadi, because I was working with them.
Amazing.
So Mashadi said, hey, you passionate about training and then you doing so well. So why don't you pitch something? I'm like, but it closes like in like 4 hours. It's like, I don't know, put something together. I'm like, okay. Let me do it because it's in my nature. I just put it together so quickly. And then, so I pitched it. They approved it. It was only 35,000 Rand or something like $3,500, the fund that we got, or 2,500. So I got learners from Mashadi. Mashadi was working with you at Afrika Tikkun to take learners from Deep Sleuth.
Yes.
And then I took those learners from her. I think it was about 8 of them.
Wow.
Trained them on tech for about 6 weeks. I think it was a 6 weeks worth of program. And I found 90% of them jobs.
Amazing.
And then I think the news landed to say, who's this guy that's doing this thing? I want to see this man because you want to move.
Yes.
So that's how. So there's a gentleman from Afrika Tikkun, Karabo, introduced me to you.
Yes.
And then that's how everything led to.
And I had a dream. I wanted to, I felt that unless young people were able to translate, their skill set and their education into tangible economic opportunities, then certification is just a piece of paper. A piece of paper must translate. And I said, I also believed very much that you cannot transform people unless they move beyond the politics of bread and butter.
Yeah.
So if I am giving you food, you're never going to be free. If I can enter, I felt that the only way to get young people to become and to participate in leadership, participate in being active citizenship, is to first enable economic transformation. And so any opportunity that enabled young people to transition from education skills opportunities into economic empowerment was important. And so when you said to me, that ICT was the way to go, I said, why not?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And I'm a doer, I don't believe in talking.
You don't waste time.
It's one thing to talk, it's another to bring your. So one of my rare skills is that I'm able to take something from being an idea, being a dream, to bring it to life.
Yeah. And I remember when I called you the other time, I'm like, oh, there's an institution that is available. It's a nonprofit and it's an ICT academy. I didn't even finish that. So you're like, I want it.
That weekend. And I am grateful to you for that. Yeah. Because one of me, as soon as he said to me, there's this opportunity, I said, why not? Because I believe that, impossible means impossible, right?
Yeah.
And anything is possible if you believe. You just need to work towards it, you'll get it. And I remember you told me T-Systems was exiting the country. Yeah. And you said to me, there's this opportunity. I said, tell me where. That weekend, I went to go and see them. by the.
I didn't even know that.
I went to go and see them. Within 2 to 3 months, we were awarded that academy, and that was why we were able to to have Afrika Tikkun's own ICT academy. Because I believe one of my biggest strengths is being able to recognize the opportunity, do my maths around what are the potential risks, and if it's a worthwhile opportunity to explore and to take advantage of, I don't like the word take advantage of, but to bring to life, why not? And so a lot of my success in life, and thank God for that, is because, God has blessed me with the rare ability to be able to bring things to life, to see an opportunity
and just
seize the day.
Yeah, very good with that. Right?
Yeah.
So I think let's talk more about now where you are currently now. So what's the work that you're doing? What are the services that you provide? And what impact are you making?
So I had, when I became the group CEO of Afrika Tikkun, I was at the pinnacle of my career. I was happy. I felt like I sat in a rare opportunity to triple the impact I was already making in children and young people's lives.
Yeah.
And part of the thinking then was, how do we expand beyond South Africa to the rest of Africa? How do we ensure that we are not just enabling thousands of young people's lives or tens of thousands of young people's lives? How do we make it hundreds of thousands of young people's lives? How do we make it millions of? And I was looking, I wasn't looking, to be honest. I was content, but I felt like I had another 5 years with Afrika Tikkun.
Yeah.
And every year I get approached by headhunters, which is very interesting. And every year I said no. Every year I felt like my job in Afrika Tikkun was not done.
Yeah.
And I would say around June 2024, I got approached again. My husband, that's when if you get married to a husband that sort of pays attention to, my husband's been saying, Onyi, you are like married to Afrika Tikkun. It's like you are consumed to Afrika Tikkun. You haven't looked anywhere else. So every year there's people who approach me and I say, no, I'm not interested. No, I'm not interested. And my husband saw I was approached again. And my husband said, why don't you explore? And at the time I said, no, I'm not interested. I was approached a second time by a different company. And I said, if you don't explore, just explore, even if you're going to say no at the end.
Just find out what it is.
Just explore, because if you don't explore, you will never know what is possible out there. And so I said, okay, I'm going along for the ride. So I went along for the ride. I wasn't looking. And perhaps also I was like not interested. And the first interview aced. Second interview aced. Third interview, they said to me, I was now going to meet a couple of executives. Aced. They said to me, want to fly you to the States.
Yeah.
For the final interview.
You had to fly for the...
I flew.
Wow.
I flew business class.
Okay.
They paid all expenses paid to go to the States to this company.
Wow.
For my final interview. And at that time, I still didn't want to leave Afrika Tikkun. And I was asking my husband, am I wasting their money to fly to the States for a final interview that I know I'm not going to take?
Yeah.
Very interested. And then everybody around me, I went to my cell group. My cell group said, what is the worst case scenario? Just go for the ride.
Just go
for the experience. Because
So
I was feeling bad for them.
You wanted to say no before you fly?
Before I fly, because I didn't want to waste their money. But anyway,
anyway,
everybody encouraged me to go for this interview. So I go. And, again, I'm going within my mind, I don't need this job. And then guess what? After the final interview, they make an offer. They make an offer that was tremendously much more than, the offer was very interesting. And then my husband kept saying, you have to consider this organization. First of all, think about it. In Afrika Tikkun, you are the group CEO. Your opportunity to grow is very limited.
At the ceiling,
In this company, it offers you a global reach. It's a global organization. It offers you an opportunity to bring to life your regional interest. You want to work in Africa. It's offering you. And so to cut a long story short, I accepted an offer with Sesame Workshop, which is a global organization on children's matters. If you remember, in Afrika Tikkun, the focus was to enable children from cradle to career.
Yeah.
And I had a personal experience with my daughter that made me recognize the importance of early childhood development. That 90% of the brain of a child develops from birth to 5 to 6 years old. And everything you become is dependent on what happened to you in that window. Because all of your brain neural pathways, all of your capabilities, your competences, the core of it's like you're building a building. The foundation, if that building's foundation is not strong, is not well developed, is not well positioned, everything you're building You're building on sinking sand. And I recognize the importance of early childhood development. I also grew up, when I was growing up, I watched Sesame Street.
Same
So
here.
already
Yeah.
I had a joyful affiliation to this brand.
Yes.
It was something I knew. It had a scalable platform, and it was about joyful learning and supporting children to be the best they can. And who could say no to a global opportunity, ability to have a regional footprint, and to work with, what I would call a group of leaders across the world to build the ability for children to become smarter, stronger, and kinder across the world. So that's where I am now. So
Yeah.
I am the managing director of Sesame Workshop across sub-Saharan Africa, starting with South Africa. I have the unique opportunity to lead what I would call premium product in South Africa called Takalani Sesame.
Yeah.
But we also have digital platforms to reach children at scale, as well as community-based program. And so averagely, we reach 15 million children through our broadcast media. Viewers, I would say, across our broadcast media, of which 4 million of them are children, and 2 million of them, in terms of uniquely, are mothers and parents. We also have digital platforms using WhatsApp and YouTube, 95,000 subscribers on YouTube, on WhatsApp, which is a new product we launched for families to support families and parents and educators using WhatsApp, 8,000 subscribers on WhatsApp. Or users, active users on WhatsApp, over and above our community programs where we run programs with ECD centers, with principals, with educators, capacity building to help them to provide better ECD services, quality education to children. And I'm excited about the future.
Very exciting.
Very excited. I now get to work with people all over the world. Especially and on the continent as well. So I must say I'm privileged. God has blessed me. And I believe that if we start small and young to invest in children, in what matters, then the future is bright. So I'm still in the social impact space.
Yeah.
I still work with young people. I mentor a lot of young people. And I'm currently looking at a program that will bring youth unemployment and early childhood development into one platform. Where we support young people to become micro entrepreneurs in the early childhood development space, starting their own ECD centers, and supporting them as Sesame from an educational point of view to launch early childhood development programs or services that will enable your children who didn't have access before to education to have it.
That's quite a mouthful, eh?
Yes, as
exciting.
You know, I never stop.
Exciting times. So I think I saw something about Netflix.
Yes.
Are you doing any work with Netflix?
Yes.
Is there content there for the kids?
Yes. So Sesame globally, we've launched on Netflix. In South Africa, as Takalani Sesame, we launched on ETV, Showmax, and on SABC. Globally, we have now partnered with both Netflix and YouTube. Yeah. And we are now we're now on almost all platforms. We're also looking at a partnership with a mobile operator to see how can we leverage mobile to get education to as many households as we can. Remember, it's about helping children everywhere. Emphasis.
Yeah.
Helping children everywhere to grow smarter, stronger, and kinder. And so we're using every platform possible.
So when you say mobile, what do you mean? Please explain it for me a little bit.
There is a mobile provider that is currently launching their own mobile television.
Okay,
and so we are looking to partner with them. We will launch it once we're ready.
Yes.
To put all of our educational content on mobile outside of WhatsApp. We're already on WhatsApp and we're reaching about 8,000. Our target is at least this year to get to 10,000 parents and educators on WhatsApp. But this is now using a mobile platform like one of your telcos and using their platform to reach families with our educational content.
Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to learn more about that. You know, I always want to jump in an opportunity to support as well. So there is somebody that I interviewed in this very platform where they are like a telco. You know, they are in the telecommunication space and they're providing access to infrastructure and connectivity across schools.
Wow,
and
I
they
think
do
I
it
know who
that.
they are, but I will hold my...
Yeah. But we can talk about it. There's an organization called Project Isizwe.
Okay.
They're doing absolutely amazing work, very high impact work. They're connecting the unconnected communities. Yeah. So they're making data access to internet connectivity because, I mean, these communities are not connected.
Correct.
So therefore, you are left behind because you don't have access to information.
Correct.
Information lives in fingertips.
Correct.
On mobile devices, you know.
Correct.
So it'll be interesting to learn more about what
so
you're
when
trying
I
to
come
achieve.
back to your podcast, I hope I'll be invited back.
Yeah.
When I'm invited back, we're going to tell you a couple of great
Yeah.
things that we're a number of things that we have in the pipeline
Yeah.
to really ensure that when we say we want to help children everywhere to be smarter, stronger, and kinder, that we do. And that is part of it is working with those kind of telcos because we understand that you cannot look at mobile education, you can look at digital education unless we have infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so those kind of partnerships is important to us, that data is cheaper, that data is accessible, that data is stable, because that is what is going to democratize education in real terms.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And then in terms of, I think some of the tips for somebody who wants to actually interact with your organization, Sesame Workshop, how do they engage? How do they connect? And what kind of support can anyone add to your business?
So the only way that Sesame Workshop continues to scale beyond Takalani Sesame, beyond our digital, the work we're doing digitally, is through partnerships. And so we welcome partnerships. For example, we're looking to take our educational products or educational programs into hospitals. We don't want any child to be left behind. We're looking at how do we create low-tech or low-touch educational activations in malls. So how do we get to children everywhere so that no child is left behind, that every child in South Africa has access to quality early learning, quality early stimulation? So you can make contact with us by going to our website, by following us on LinkedIn, on social media, Facebook. We're on all of the social media platforms. And you can DM me, go to my LinkedIn, find me and DM me, and we can have an effective conversation. Remember, my interest is to ensure that in my lifetime, in my generation, that children and young people have the ability to be the best they can and that they emerge as people who are going to take us to where we want to be as a country and as a continent.
Dr. Onyi, thank you so much for that. If I said anything beyond what you said, I will be ruining everything. So thank you so much for such impactful words. I'm looking forward to collaborating and seeing how we can add value as Think Tank. So thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. And to the listeners, the viewers, thank you so much for joining this session. I hope this has been informative for you and would like to thank you for viewing. See you on the next one.